10 episodes? Holy crap. That's like 10 weeks. That's like 2.5 months.
We made it to double digits.
Bro, we're at double digits. Welcome to the Anime Therapy Podcast, episode 10! Double digits, baby! And then we just need to get to triple digits, and then, you know, we could say that we finally did something with our lives, right?
Ooh, that's a lot of anime to talk about, but you know what? We could probably do it.
Dude, I think 80 episodes could be taken up by Yu-Gi-Oh! And Haikyuu alone.
Yeah, we could probably break that shit down for sure. Like,
yeah. Do a breakdown of every Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc. Yikes. I wouldn't even want to do that. The original Yu-Gi-Oh! has some arcs that are just kind of poopy.
what do you mean? You don't think that, you know, the Seal of Orichalcos arc was good?
No, I don't. I don't think it was good. I don't understand these freaking dragon monsters that I don't get it. I don't understand. And
What do you mean the knockoff Egyptian god cards?
pretty
but
much,
are dragons?
Dude,
Yeah.
I was thinking they're the knockoff versions of like the 5-headed dragon, the big guy. And it's like, so let me get this straight. The writer really loves dragons, huh? He loves dragging his nuts across the entire audience's face.
That's Kaiba, for sure.
Yeah. That's how he made that character. He was like, I'm gonna make a character just like me, but rich and looking like a PS5
And handsome.
and handsome. Yeah, no, I wasn't a huge fan of that arc. I really liked the random. It was like the 1 or 2 episode. I can't remember if they did it originally in. I think they did do it originally in Yu-Gi-Oh, but I more so remember it from GX when the Duel Academy kids go like on vacation to Domino City, or they go on a field trip to Domino City, and then they Cyrus and Hasselberry get caught up in a duel match.
The double duel.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I feel like they did that in original too, didn't they?
Yeah, because they, it was Yugi and Seto versus the Umbra brothers.
That's right, with the masks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Kaiba was just like, I don't need your help, Yugi, but I'm gonna use Soul Exchange, and I'm gonna sack your Valkyria and break it apart, and I'm gonna summon Obelisk. It's like, oh, okay, well, sure.
I was gonna say your retention is amazing, but also you did just watch it, so
yeah.
I was like, I didn't even remember their names. I didn't. I do love the like constant like Seto Kaiba is just, I'll just destroy my own monsters. I don't give a shit as long as I can kick your ass. The whole Ring of Destruction, and then
Ring of Safety,
and then Ring of Safety. Yeah, just insane. I don't know. I think Obelisk might be the best one out of all of them. I know we've talked about this kind of recently. You think
dude,
Ra?
Ra's the best one for sure.
No.
Yeah.
You're just a super fan of Merrick.
I am not.
Lies. All right. Well, I know we already did a very fast intro, but welcome back, and I'm gonna have to talk to you about the task that you gave me because I finished all of the World God Only Knows, and I have some words. First off, I'm now starting to understand more and more that you love when anime incorporates music as like a heavy theme, because that anime just is like the first 2 seasons. I would be listening and then a song would be playing and I'm like, oh, that's the end of the, wait, no, there's still like 10 minutes left. Wait, that's not the outro. Okay. Oh, all right. And then like 2 episodes later, they do it again. I'm like, the music's just huge in the anime. for the first 2 seasons at least.
Yeah.
And I thought this was gonna be a comedy, like all the way through. Turns out it was a tragedy. Damn, dude, damn. Like, oh my, like, I liked season 1 and 2 a lot, and then season 3 started. First off, I was so confused when season 3 started because I didn't watch the 2 OVAs that they had. The Tenri arc, which introduced a completely new character for 2 episodes, and then the, I guess the other OVA didn't really matter. It was the 4 girls and an idol. It didn't really matter. It didn't really add much to it. But there were, when I started season 3, there were like 5 characters that I didn't know anything about. There was Tenri, there was Nora, which was another one of the the lost soul demons. Her buddy, fucking Smooth Magoob over there.
The anime definitely, like, in between seasons, kind of skipped over big parts that, like, if you read the manga, there's more about it. Today that happens from 1 to 2, and it's like, hey, there are just these other people, and it's like, oh, okay. And it happens from 2 to 3, where it's like, hey, there's all these other people now. Like,
at least season 1 to 2 didn't. The only thing that I missed from season 1 to 2, which didn't even affect me understanding what was happening in season 2, was the 4 girls and an idol, which takes place like literally right after the last episode of season 1. But I didn't need that. Where season 3 starts and there's the I guess there was in the. It's funny, real quick. I was in the bathroom today and I was like, I need to look up some shit about this show because I just finished it. I'm like, why did I miss so much? And I saw a Reddit post and it was, these are the manga chapters that they did, and then the manga chapters that you need to read to understand what you didn't get. There was, I guess, a conquest where he switched bodies with a girl, like a rich girl. There was one where he saves a girl who, like, she turned into a doll, and she's, like, very much into, like, her doll stuff. Completely missed that. There's some short, emo-haired girl, which didn't even play that big of a part in season 3 until, like, the very end. And just so everyone knows, this is going to be spoiler ridden because I'm about to talk about one of the most fucked up things in that show that made me like season 3. Because at first I was like, I don't know, I think this season's like weird, boring, whatever. I don't get it. And then one thing happened, and I was literally verbally in my room going, "What the fuck? What is going on?" And it was, and it's so funny. Before this, I was like, remember the names. You remember the names. You know the names. And now, Chihiro, which is the background character that he's like, I don't want to do the conquest with her. She's a background character. She sucks. She calls him a cockroach, and then he becomes depressed and all that. And she's the leader of the band that they do, the 2B Pencils. And they developed a relationship, which was nice. I enjoyed that conquest in season 2. And then season 3, he's trying to find the goddesses out of all the women that he conquered. And he thinks she's one of them. So he goes through the whole thing, and the fire pit, and all of that. And he finds out that she's not one of the hosts for the goddesses. And he just straight up says, I don't love you. Basically, in layman's term, I don't love you. I just wanted to test something out. You suck, loser. Peace. At the height of where I was like, oh, this is so great. I love this. This is exactly what he needed. And then even after the reveal that she wasn't a goddess host, I was like, oh, that's great. He actually loves her and he doesn't need her for this whole thing. And he just is like, nah, later. And I was so fucking mad. I was so pissed. I looked at him and I was like, you asshole.
Yeah. When at the end where, you know, the band's performing and all the goddesses' wings go out and Chihiro can see that, and then there's the scene where she's like holding her guitar and she's just fucking crying.
Yeah.
It's like that's like full chair back, fall over.
Yeah.
Like that's a
If
ugh.
I mean, I was laying in bed and it made me want to sink into the ground. Basically, I was like,
Mm,
"What the hell?" And then, it was kind of poetic though. That like the last goddess that he needed was the first girl that he conquered. I think it's Ayumi. I think her name
mm,
is.
yeah.
Um, which was nice, but I was still mad at him. I was like, "You're an asshole." And then all this happens. The show ends. They do the concert at the end. Cannon comes out, right, and then it just ends with all of them happy, and he's sitting on a bench alone. And for the first time, you see tears come from his eyes and drop on his hand, and then it ends. And I was like, "Dude, what the fuck? I need to read the manga."
So, man, because you get to that point in season 3 where there's one goddess left, and he's literally like, it's 50-50 between Ayumi and Chihiro.
Yeah.
And all the signs are pointing towards Chihiro.
Yeah.
And, you get to that point where he's like, am I doing this for the conquest, or am I doing this because I actually have real feelings for this girl?
Mm-hmm.
And, I think when I watch that final episode and I see like the tears on the hand at the end,
Yeah.
like part of me is like, he
Had it coming?
like I choose to believe that he lied to himself
Yes.
about what he truly meant. And I think in that moment where he's talking with Chihiro and learns that, she's not the goddess, there's the part of his brain where it's like, okay, my entire life has been around just conquest and completing games.
Mhm.
And now that Chihiro has become, in a sense, irrelevant,
Yeah.
none of the things I felt for her were real. So goodbye. Like, just
That
fuck
was
off, fuck out of my life.
that was soul
And,
crushing. Soul crushing.
it's brutal. Yeah, because
It's
I
like-
really like Chihiro, and I was like, man, that is just brutal. Like you have your demon, and that gets dealt with, and then people are starting to remember,
Right.
the past events, and you're like, is this real? Like, is this something that... And what a lot of people tend to forget in anime, I will say, is like, sometimes you're watching anime and you're older, right? So you could be in high school and you could be watching a high school anime, right? But we're both,
Old.
older. We're not in high school anymore. But like, just think about that for her. Like, she hasn't dated anyone. I mean, and you're starting to develop real feelings for somebody, and there's this, final night that's like magical, and it's all about the school and stuff like that, and you're,
The perfect moment.
growing up. Yeah, you're growing up with your classmates, and it's like, there's that sense of togetherness that you want to feel, but there's also a sense of like privacy that you want with somebody else, somebody who will, stay with you and protect you from, these demons from ever coming back. And, unfortunately, he chooses one priority over another.
Yeah.
And that is just soul crushing for a high school student. Like,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've been rejected. Like, it hurts. Like, you think it's the end of the world. Like, you start doubting if you ever have any worth as a person, if you have like, insecurities or like any self-doubt about yourself. And, I really felt bad, like really bad for Chihiro in that moment
Mhm.
because, I think that Kema made the wrong decision there.
I
But
agree.
but you see at the end, the tears on the hands, and that's where that I had some sense of closure because it's like I think he understands that he was not honest with himself and he made the wrong decision. But how do you come back from saying stuff like that
Yeah.
to somebody? I don't think you can.
Yeah.
So,
And on top of the fact that in that, just before that scene in the same setting, or in that scene, she, she's that character that, I thought was just lame right at first, because she just like professes her love to everyone and keeps getting rejected over and over again and just brushes it off. And then this happens where it felt real, and then it felt real bad, and she tells him that, like, even before all this conquest stuff started, that she had feelings for him. So even before, in the time before the show even took place, we find out that this character had already felt these things for him. um, and with it, it's bittersweet. The whole, like, from a gamer's perspective, because that's what this anime is all about, right? It's being a
oh
gamer.
yeah,
Um,
being a gamer.
and from a gamer's perspective, when the show started, and he conquered Ayumi, and then conquered so and so and so and so, and then they didn't remember any of it. At first, I was like, that kind of sucks. But then, from a gamer's perspective, I was like, oh, sick. He doesn't have to deal with any of this. He doesn't have to continue this relation. Dude, that's awesome. Like, he got in and got out. That's pretty dope. And then in season 3, it's like, no, they all remember. And I was like, this is storytelling at its finest, ladies and gentlemen. Like, he's got to deal with everything that I thought he got a clean slate off of.
I mean, just think about it from a gaming perspective. Like you can play through an entire video game, reach the end, which the end for, most romantic, games is, either some type of relationship, or in this anime it's a kiss, because the kiss, frees the demon from within them.
Well, yeah, the lost soul. Yeah,
Yeah, the lost soul, and it essentially, you start a new game. He
yeah,
completed the game and he new gamed it. And the new game is like, hooray, we deleted the save file and now they're back to normal. And they don't remember anything. It's like,
yeah.
cool. And now all his save files are coming back. It's like,
I was gonna say, and a great analogy is season 3 was the new game plus, where you kept everything but started a new game. Yeah. Yeah, and the last thing I'll say too, just his last line too. He even says, he's like, it, along the layman's terms, along the lines of, like, what hurt most was having to lie to her, referring to Chihiro, because that's what he did. He lied to her, saying that he didn't love her or whatever. Man, dude, what a first task you've given me, and I'm glad that I finished it all. Now I feel like I have to read the manga. I'm definitely going to.
I haven't read the manga. I should read it.
Yeah.
For me, it was just like, the show kind of hooked me in, with just the initial premise, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like,
It's hilarious.
yeah, I'm a god gamer. I'm hilarious.
Yeah.
And now I have to conquest 3D women. God damn it! Like,
it's the
this
worst.
sucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's funny moments where, with Ayumi, there's like the banners and stuff,
Yeah.
and all the cheering, and she's kind of embarrassed. And then with the rich girl, it's like, I'll be your chauffeur.
Yeah.
And
I'll be your rickshaw driver, pretty much.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's always like, it's fun, but then before the kiss happens, there's always some like serious moment, right? Where it's like, stop faking. You need to be confident in yourself, like, I'm sorry, your dad's dead, like, but you need to stop living this life that is just a lie.
Yeah, it's not real. Yeah.
Um, you need to be a pop star for yourself as a, as opposed for other people. And there's a lot of like cool lessons in there, both season 1 and season 2. And so it slowly kind of like hits you with a little bit of serious drama thrown into like, ha ha ha, this is
Yeah.
a fun show. And then, season 3 comes around, and then, yeah, I mean, for me, it was like, I had a lot of, confidence issue problems in high school, and I can relate to Chihiro on a few different aspects of her personality. Kind of constant rejection, kind of being a background character for a lot of the times. And it's just like, when you start to actually have those real connections with people, and then what you thought was real, you're told doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
And that's just like, I do remember watching that scene, and like, I like cried for a little bit afterwards, because it was like, it hit me in who I was.
Yeah.
Not who I am. And it was like, it just brought up that like old painful memories and stuff, and I was just like, damn, like that's fucking good storytelling. So
Feels bad, man.
it does feel bad, man. But I really respect what the world God Only Knows was. And also, I think it's one of the few animes that has done like a harem style right.
Yes. I was saying this to my girlfriend yesterday when we went to go get dinner. I was talking to her about the anime, and I was saying that she would really like it. And I liked one of the things that I liked most about Keima was that despite him being that kind of gamer he is, right? The dating sim gamer, and what the show is revolving around, which is a harem, he was not the pervert type, which was actually like a sigh of relief for once. It was like, it's what was expected, and it didn't happen, and it felt better that he wasn't the pervert type.
He had a dimensional priority, okay?
Yeah. He had his priorities in order.
He saw curves, no thank you.
Yeah.
Flat,
yeah.
Yes.
I did like that the end of season 2, he finds this game that was like super cheap with like the worst drawn kind of girl character, and it ends up being his favorite game, like one of his favorite games. And then the developers reach out to him, and they're like, hey, we want your insight because you're the god of conquest to make a new game. And then he has this internal struggle with all the different parts of himself. Yeah, I really like the show, man. It was a good recommendation. I feel like there's definitely more that I could talk about, but we're only here for so long.
I mean, who was your favorite girl?
That's what I was gonna mention, and I forgot it. So I had a favorite girl, and then season 3 happened, and I was like, motherfucker. All right, they're all my favorite girls.
Who was your favorite girl up until season 3?
The library girl.
Oh, okay.
Yes, one, I love her character design, and 2, I related to her a lot too, having more thoughts and confidence within my own head than what I could say or portray in my own words, because I always grew up having a hard time saying what I really meant and explaining things well. I still have a hard time explaining things well, but at least I am no longer afraid to say what I want to say. But also, I just loved her character design. She was the most adorable out of all of them.
Also, that kiss scene is so great with like all the books just around them.
Yeah.
And look, dude, just to go back to the original, an original point that you were saying, and then we'll get back to the girl discussion. The music in that series it's just really good,
Mhm.
and like the OPs and the EPs were all like, hot damn, I love this stuff.
I like.
And,
Sorry, real quick. In the music conversation, I like when like a multiple season show will use the original OPs as like the overall background song throughout all the other seasons, even though it's not the OP for the other two. That first OP was so good. It starts off so good.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and the way they incorporate music into scenes and stuff like that, it's just phenomenal to me. Um,
There were so many points where there was no dialogue. There was no dialogue. It was just music telling the story. That show, that show was like a jigsaw puzzle that shouldn't have been put together. It was like music, boom, comedy, boom, seriousness, boom, harem, boom. It was like it was a hodgepodge. It was a chicken pot pie, if you will. You know.
there was a video I watched, and I forget who it was. And they basically made the commentary that they were talking about 2010 anime and mentioned The World God Only Knows, and basically made a comment that the world God Only Knows ruined all post harem anime because it showed how good a harem anime could actually be made.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh, I think I agree with this opinion.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah, because it's like you said, the problem with most harem anime is in some way, shape, or form, the main character is pervy, and that's not really like, cool.
Yeah, it's not an aspect of a character that I respect, because it's not something that I respect about myself, because I would do the same thing in those situations. Oh, I have all these girls, cool, I'm gonna perv out. I don't respect that about myself. I want to be a better person, and those main characters are hard to respect in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So Kama just being like a Giga Chad, just he really is, like, he is. I don't know. He's definitely the best harem main character I've seen in a very long time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so going back to the the character type of thing, I think my favorite girl prior to season 3 was Canon.
Yeah.
So the idol.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I liked her character, she had a very bubbly personality.
Yeah.
There was also the sense of like, the invisible thing.
Yeah. That's something that I could relate to as well, and that's something that I really liked about Bunny Girl Senpai, was that also touched on it. The whole feeling invisible to everybody around you, like, it's so relatable in a high school sense.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously when Chihiro got more developed in season 3, she became my favorite, just because.
Still not my favorite, because when it comes to season 3, it's like Chihiro and Asumi
Ayumi.
or Ayumi.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of just go hand in hand with me, because they are the final plot point of that season and of the whole show. But I really, weirdly enough, I really loved the masculine girl, the one that everybody thinks is a guy. So then Kama starts cross-dressing, so he forces her to conquer him. Like, I love that character. I also really liked her voice actress. Like, as far as, because I watched English dub, a lot of those 2010s animes, especially ones that aren't mainstream, have really bad voice acting. Ayumi and Chihiro both having terrible voice acting, in my opinion, but I really liked her voice acting, and I loved the aspect of her being like this very masculine girl, but they keep being like what are you doing in this bathroom, right? And like, did she just call us ladies? And she's like, I'm still a girl. I'm the girl of this relationship. I really liked her, and I'm also just a big fan of like the strong warrior type girl. So like the Mars goddess being possessing her, I thought was very fitting. I really like that. I think it's mainly what it is how I was introduced to her, because the anime didn't show that arc. I was introduced to her by Kama being in the library. She comes up, introduces herself, and then forces him to lay in her lap. And it's just very like aggressive, and he's very like, oh my god, oh jeez, she's conquering me. Like,
the conqueror has become the conquered.
Yeah, and he kept referring it to as a player versus player. He's like, oh, how interesting, PvP, huh? Yeah, I really like that. I liked all the characters, but yeah, the library girl, Chihiro, Ayumi, and whatever her name was. I'm surprised that, as someone who loves pink-haired anime girls, Kanon, I really liked Kanon's story arc, because that was the first character to not be like a one-episode thing in the first season, right? So, right. Oh, and then there was also this character who was like a swimmer or something, completely not in the anime but mentioned. But yeah, I liked. That's what I was saying last night. I was like, it starts off to get you hooked and get you used to what the show is going to be about, and then immediately starts getting serious with Kanon, where it's like, okay, this is a character that we're going to spend time with, and because she was the first one, they gave her a lot of attention, a lot of character development, a lot of time for Kama to, conquer. So.
There are also a lot of just relatable problems with the girls that Kama does conquer, which I appreciated. Like, obviously Ayumi's the first girl, but it's like, she's lying to herself about, because she's scared that she's gonna like lose, right, in this race.
Fakes an injury,
Yeah, so she fakes an injury, and it's like, okay, that that's relatable. And then you have the rich girl, and it's like, you're pretending to be somebody that you're not. And I think that a lot of people have, in some way, shape, or form, been chameleons around other people, where it's like, oh yes, I too watch sports ball, and I like football. What's my favorite team? The Golden State Warriors? No, that's a basketball team? Okay, well,
Oh yeah, I love playing League of Legends. My favorite character is the guy with the sword, right?
Yeah. Like half of the fucking
game. Exactly. Yeah. Well, we've already spent like 30 minutes talking about this show.
What? Okay, so final thing. Obviously,
every girl was relatable in some sense.
Obviously you got to put it on Mal, right? Because you've watched it.
I do.
What would you give it overall?
Well, does Mal split it up?
It splits it up into seasons.
Okay.
So you could do like a seasonal rating, and then an overall rating.
Yeah, I'll do a seasonal and then an overall. Season 1, I would say, was an 8. Season 2, I mean, I did like the wrestler obsessed teacher. I thought that was pretty funny. She like, I will make you a good student. I will make you want to be in school and pay attention and not play games. And then she buys a PSP to play with him, and then doesn't know how to work it. Season 2, I would say, like a 7.5. It just continued with the first season, which I enjoyed the first season, so I liked it, but it didn't really jump out at me. And obviously the first season having Kanon, and then the library girl. Season 3, I don't know. At first, I wasn't into season 3, and then they were like, "No, you're into it. No, you like this. You're gonna like this. Shut up and like it."
Yeah.
Probably an 8.5.
Okay, so like, if you aggregate the
Well,
numbers
overall, I give the whole
overall.
show probably like an 8.5 as a
Okay.
total. Yeah. Um,
I'm happy. I'm happy with that.
yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and do the mal afterwards, but yeah, I liked it. It was a good suggestion, and I can't wait for you to suggest me something else that takes me 2 weeks to watch.
Time to suggest some trash. Let's go. I got my good suggestion out of the way.
Well, here's the thing. I feel like with our friend group, you and like 2 other people definitely know more 2010s anime than I do, because you guys were into watching anime a lot earlier than I was. I feel. I mean, I can't remember what you said. I know what you said your first anime was. I just don't remember how old you said you were. Probably middle school, right?
It was Naruto, and it was yeah, middle. Yeah, if you discount Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh, it was Naruto, and then I started watching Naruto around 12 or 13.
And then you stayed into the anime.
Continued, yeah.
Yeah. Where I didn't. I watched a little bit of Naruto when I was younger, and I was like, this is cool, and then got into it probably like 16 or 17.
Yeah, it's like Naruto, which led to Bleach, which led to Death Note, which led to the expansive anime universe.
Yeah, exactly. The what was it? The EAU.
Yeah.
The expansive anime universe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like you guys definitely know, because if you think about it, if you were watching anime at that time, you knew what was new at the time. For me, everything seems old because I started later. And I mean, of course, I've come across new animes in my time too. Like Mob Psycho wasn't a thing. One Punch wasn't a thing. Attack on Titan had just started when I was getting into anime.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what you recommend to me. I really hope it's another classic. If it's one of these current weeklies, I'm gonna be like, dude, I want them to get old. I want them to age fine like a wine before I sip.
All right, I'll pull something out of the hat.
Okay.
You know, similar.
Well, before we get to that, let's talk about your task for this last week, which was Mushishi.
That's right. So I have watched 6 episodes of Mushishi.
Drum roll right here.
Man, this show does so much with nothing, and it is crazy. Some of the episodes are just so quiet, like the episode where the Mushi are getting into people's ears and in the snow village, and there's a lot of those scenes where it's just like there's no sound that accompanies it, and you're just watching the visuals. And the visuals are just they're so satisfying to watch. From my opinion so far, the main character has been great. There's like a weird sense of mystery that I feel about this guy.
Ginkgo,
where Ginkgo, where it's like, he's a Mushishi, but I feel like there's something going on with him. Obviously, I don't have like his full backstory here, but like, there's the episode where he goes to see the guy who has, what we think at first is the premonitions, right? And he's like, just take this medicine when it starts getting a little, intense, because you'll get enveloped by your dreams. And he comes back to the village being just destroyed by a tsunami, from what we learn, and by this disease where people turn green and then they just disintegrate. And he comes back, and the guy's like, everything that I'm creating in my dreams is entering reality. that's what this is that's how this is happening. You lied to me about my power.
Hmm.
And, Ginkgo acknowledges it. He's like, yeah, I mean, this is just how it is. So, I can't tell you that your power is this because then your dreams will become, over
Affected.
exaggerated
Yeah.
and you will hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
Uh,
Despite
and
him
it's
already hurting an entire village.
right.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, first off, OP and EP, are fantastic. Anything that's just like a simple piano with, some singing in the background, I'm like, am I gonna get hurt? Am
Yeah.
I gonna I'm in trouble, aren't I? Like my emotions are gonna feel some things, aren't we?
Yeah.
And it's like I love the episodic nature of this show.
Yeah.
Because I think it, you're allowing different stories to be told and show how Mushi affects different people in different ways. And it's like, oh, there's different kinds of Mushi.
Mhm.
We deal with them in different ways. And, Ginkgo is going to be affected in some way, shape, or another. Right?
Yeah.
And I think my favorite episode out of the 6 that I've watched is just the Snow Village one because, I feel like anime is always trying to pull you in with a combination, normally all together of, dialogue, the visuals, and then the accompanying music in the background.
Yeah.
But I feel like in this show, they tend to isolate one of the 3 from the others to make scenes more impactful. So sometimes you'll just have a dark screen with no sound in the background, and there will be somebody speaking. But the way they're speaking is like, you can feel the weight of the words.
Yeah.
And then there's the visual aspect where it's like, okay, I am being drawn in by the visuals only. And then, there's, smatterings of sound that are heard. And, if the show continues to be like this, I think it's just going to be a fantastic time.
Mhm.
I'm interested to see if there will be any other recurring characters in the future that cause Ginkgo any issues, or if, because we haven't really seen him struggle yet, which is fine, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because they're just dealing with kind of other people's stories, and then Ginkgo's like, hello, I'm here. This is how we resolve this stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's just been so good so far.
So, yeah, I found the show just on a whim, random, and it changed everything I thought I knew about anime because it was the most unique thing that I had experienced. And if I'm thinking correctly, the first 6 episodes, I'm sure you came across, I want to say there was an episode where a kid had like a special power with drawing. Did you see that?
Yeah, so that's the first episode.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and so like his drawings would come to life, and
if he drew with his left hand.
If he drew with his left hand specifically. Like that for a first episode is like, here's everything that the show is going to be, right off the bat. But you also have no idea what the rest of the show is going to be like. So I liked that episode. I really liked the first episode. And I think maybe the second episode might be the girl who is sensitive to light. Is that
Mhm.
okay? Yeah. That was just like what I was saying when I first recommended it to you. The show, I love that this show is every episode is a story about characters you don't know. It's a new story every single episode. If you think about that from a writer's perspective, that's insane. They're writing a new story pretty much every episode. They have to come up with something and then tell a story and then somehow make the main character involved with it and have it flow and work. There is an overall story, but it's slowly revealed throughout, and you got a little taste of it with Ginkgo and the girl who has the mushi in her eyes, because he's like, picture the river, you see the river, right? Don't go too close to it, or else the mushi will consume your eyes completely.
And it's like Ginkgo gives her a glass eye and, you know, makes it real.
Yeah.
And then you see him like part his hair and you can see that one of the eyes is completely black, similar to the girl's. And it's like, okay, there's something there, but we don't know what it is quite yet. So.
Exactly. One other thing I was going to say was, I mean, I like his character a lot. One, his voice acting is great. And two, I love that. I mean, I love the whole like hair over the eye aesthetic, and you know, he's got
it makes him so like ominous in a sense, where it's like also with just like, you know, the constant hanging cigarette, and it's like
all bent all the time.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's like distorted and stuff like that. And it's like this guy knows some freaking voodoo shit here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's going on with this guy.
The thing that drew me to the show a lot is that with every episode at the beginning they explain what mushi are. And the way that they explained it made me think about unexplained things in our life. And they kind of tread that line of this is fiction, but like it's gonna feel very real because mushi affect people in a way that in real life also happens, and we have no way of explaining, or like doctors have a hard time finding out like what is actually wrong with people. But in the show, it's explained that it's mushi. So I felt very connected with it, where I was like, oh, did you see the person with the seashell? On her? Okay, yeah. Where they pick up this seashell, put it up to her ear, and then that shit. You saw that episode, right? Okay, so I was like, it's so strange. It's such a weird show, but it's also so calming yet mysterious and inviting. But also like, should I be watching this?
It's definitely one of those shows where I feel like with how the OP sounds and how, you know, normally the first minute or two of the episode kind of intros into it, it's definitely like, okay, I can feel relaxed, I think. And, you know, the way that they tend to address the problems, it's still in a very calming way. It's not like, you know, the music tempo's up and it's like, Mushi's a problem, it's destroying the village. Like, you know, you go to he goes back to the village and he's like, there's barely any music accompanying him, and he's like, it hasn't even been a year since I've been back. And then you're just panned to a destroyed village. Yeah. And it's like,
and it goes,
you're like, what?
Yeah, and
like,
it just
how? And it's those type of transitions that, man, are just so impactful because it's set up in a way where, you know, the music and the dialogue doesn't give any hints to the terrible things that you're about to see.
Yeah.
Right? like with the Snow Village thing, where it's like, you know, I want these noises to go away from the mom, right? And then there's that moment where it's like, I think there's a, just black screen, and she's like, Mom, I can't hear anything anymore. I want the voices back. And it's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I related to that episode quite a bit.
Yeah. It's just,
yeah.
There are certain parts that have left me pretty much speechless, and I'm happy to see where the show takes itself. So.
Also, if no one, I was gonna make kind of a fucked up joke, but if anyone has ever in their life experienced not being able to hear anything, it's one of the most terrifying things I've ever experienced in my life, because as someone who has heard stuff before and then had like an hour where I just couldn't hear anything, not even my own heartbeat, couldn't hear the smacking of me eating. It was absolutely terrifying, and it feels kind of like what it showed. Like you can still see, so like nothing is black, but like it almost feels like there's a big thick weighted blanket over your head where there's nothing, and it's terrifying. And you'll see throughout the show that there are gonna be more instances of like things happening to people that don't happen to everybody. It's very rare that people experience these things, but the way that Ginkgo handles it just kind of makes you feel like Ginkgo saved the viewer. Every single time he saved someone, he saved the viewer from like the worry and the mystery and fear of what's happening to the characters, which I think makes him such a likable character. Obviously, you do have to watch some more, but so far so good.
So far so great. Like it's that fucking good shit, man.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be happy to continue watching.
So, since we're nearing the end, would you say that you're just going to continue with the task of Mushishi?
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna keep watching Mushishi for sure.
Okay. That's cool.
And I think I will try to get to the end of season 1 by next time.
Cool. It's a slow grind just because it is such a slow paced show. Not a whole lot of action.
Dude, I had to watch I watched some freaking like Sakamoto days in between because I just needed something like funny.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, this has hit me in all the feels. I need like the cool character of like, oh my god, like, this guy's just sick. He could do everything right. Yeah. Like he's Sakamoto.
Yeah, I was also gonna mention how different these two shows are that we've talked about today. So different, very different vibes.
Which is just wonderful. Like, I am in the boat of people where I believe that anime can storytell better than any real life show can. Yeah. Just because, when you have the expansive world to tell any story that you want in a fantasy setting with what is essentially cartoon characters, but they are real. What
do you mean? All 2D characters are real?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Much better than 3D people.
Yeah, my wife is sometimes, there are certainly some 2D people I would take over some 3D people, that's for sure. But it's like, there are some, I think anime is just a wonderful medium to tell all different types of stories. And, this is why we're here. This is why a lot of people, continue to support anime, because they found there's certain niches in some instances, or maybe they just generally love how anime can storytell for people.
Yeah.
Like for me, you know, it's all about comedies and, you know, you
Action.
got the romance stuff, you got some action in there as well. Thrill of the adventure. I
Mhm.
mean, it's all there and it's all wonderful.
Wow,
So.
it's almost sounding like you're talking about One Piece. It's got it all.
No, I was talking about Gintama.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. Second time in a row. Let's go. Let's keep the joke going. Cool. Well, let's move into our final section, which we'll start with you recommending me for a task because you're going to continue with Mushishi. So go ahead and hit me with what I have to watch next, which is great because once I finished The World God Only Knows, I was like, I don't know what to. I want something else to watch, but I don't want to rewatch anything right now.
Okay, let me ask you something. I'm gonna take give me a genre that you're looking for now.
Ooh.
'Cause I just gave you kind of romantic comedy with some drama in it.
Yeah.
And you know, I kind of want to.
What are you talking about? You gave me a horror. That was horrible. I was scared by the entire time.
In a world where a 2D woman master has to talk to 3D women.
This summer, get ready. Get ready for some nice cock.
Yo, that's only that one girl.
Just the one girl. Yeah, yeah. Okay, took me a second. Genre. I wanna, huh?
Like, what are you feeling?
Well, I wanna play into your strengths, and I kind of want to keep going on the romance train.
Okay.
I mean, I'm in the honeymoon phase of my own relationship, so like, and the more romance animes I watch, the more likely she's also watched them. We can talk about it. So let's go on the romance train, but maybe if you have one that is less comedic and fictional and more actual like slice of life romance, maybe with some tragedy.
Okay.
I mean, I know there's one anime that everybody talks about that I still have never seen, but I don't know if I want to go that tragic. I'm talking about Your Name.
Right. Okay.
Also, just any of your favorites, if there's one that like, because you know the ones that are some of your favorites that I've never watched.
Man, I'm torn between two right now. And your girlfriend would definitely recommend one of them.
You want to flip a coin?
Yeah, you know what? That's what I'm gonna do.
Flip a coin.
I'm gonna flip. Let's flip a coin. And heads will be the first one, and tails will be the second one.
Okay. Unless you don't like the result, and then you'll know which one you actually wanted to recommend.
No, no. Okay, so she would have recommended the second one. I'll tell you the second one anyways, but it's not the one I'm gonna recommend.
Okay.
The second one would have been Fruits Basket.
Okay.
Cause
I do not want to watch that.
Honestly, the remake is good. Like,
Okay.
I really like Fruits Basket.
Well, I've already seen the prologue movie that came out this season, so.
The anime I will recommend then is an anime called Golden Time.
Okay.
So Golden Time, basic synopsis is your main character is going to law school in Tokyo, and he bumps into another freshman, and girl with like long flowing orange hair. She's beautiful. They instantly like hit it off, and it's a it's a romantic comedy anime, and it's adult. Like, you're dealing with people that are like, adults, and they have adult problems, and I'm just like, This was one of the anime that I watched probably 3 or 4 years ago at this point. But man, is it good. I think on my anime list, I gave it they don't do 0.5s on my anime list, which kind of annoys the crap out of me. So if I could give it an 8.5, I would, but I gave it an 8 because I was just like, okay.
That being
yeah,
said, real quick, for when I do Mal for God Only Knows, I'm just gonna give it 8 across the board. Then
sure, that's fair. Yeah, let's see.
And there's a
I'm
movie
sure
as well.
So yeah,
2013. 7.74. Yeah.
So yeah, 2013 anime, 24 episodes, only one season. So it's not,
so it's
not crazy.
It's 2 seasons of The World God Only Knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. I can knock that out. No problem.
And then, yeah, that is.
That
is it.
I don't know if the movie is related or not, because the thumbnail for the movie looks very different. Okay, but yeah,
There's a movie for Golden Time. I have no idea.
I think it's something completely different. So 7.74, ranked 1030, popularity 146.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good popularity wise for how much the show gets mentioned, I think.
Well, yeah, it almost has a million ratings. Or I'm sorry, it says members 943,666. I don't know what members is, but I
wonder if members on my anime list is people who have it on their list, like who have watched the show. But
got it, because it only says 504,000 users under the score, so probably like, the whole like this percentage of people that are watching are not subscribed. It's like the amount of people that have watched it. This is the amount of people that have actually rated it. Okay, cool. I'll check it out. Slice of life romance, or you said romantic comedy.
Yep.
Okay.
It's definitely more. Okay. Sorry, so it is more slice of life than I would say romantic comedy. There are some comedy elements in it, but this is more about, the relationships that these characters build with one another, and it's definitely more slice of life than a comedy.
Okay. And I'm gonna go ahead and recommend to the audience members, The World God Only Knows. Check it out, it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck it.
We love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have one for the audience, or do you want to leave it at that? It's up to you.
You know what? For the audience, let's see here. So far, I've recommended Realist Hero,
Defrag,
and Defrag.
Yeah.
Guys, Devil's a Part-Timer season 2 is out. Like, you should watch Devil as a Part-Timer. Show's just great. It's so funny. I freaking love it. If you haven't watched it, do it, please.
Yeah.
Devil working at basically McDonald's. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. What's funnier than that?
Yeah. The first episode just really lays it out there of what the whole thing is going to be about. A satire, by the way.
I gotta say, I love shows fake depictions of fast food. So like Whack Donald's will always be funny to me.
That is pretty funny, actually. Yeah.
Whatever type of, you can't call it Coca-Cola in a show, so whatever they call it.
Yeah, for copyright. Yeah, copyright replacement. Yeah. Well, this has been episode 10. We talked about World God Only Knows and Mushishi pretty much the entire time, with with a little bit of spice and a little bit of sweetness sprinkled in there.
Little sprinkle, yeah.
Yeah, I have a hot take for you too.
Ooh, Bailey's time for a hot take. Let's hear it.
Yeah, let's go. I never have hot takes.
No.
My hot take is that Jujutsu Kaisen's overrated.
God damn it. This podcast sucks!